All right, welcome back to the Chad Hasty Show, News Talk KFYO. Tonight it's a little Super Tuesday, tiny little Super Tuesday, and really there's no drama at all. And we're joining us on the phones to talk about the lack of drama and everything else going on nationally and here statewide. Republican strategist Matt Mackowiak. Matt, good morning. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Chad. Good morning.
Well, am I right? Is there just a little drama about what we're going to see play out tonight in Michigan and a handful of other states?
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be much drama tonight. I mean, we are expecting Biden to win, basically to sweep all these states. I think it's Missouri, Mississippi, and then Michigan is the biggest one. And so, Michigan gave Sanders a surprise victory over Hillary 4 years ago. Doesn't seem poised to do that tonight. We'll see kind of what the ultimate margin looks like. I think Biden was up 7 before Super Tuesday, I want to say, and so since then he's obviously had the wind at his back. He's got more endorsements, including I think today he's got Cory Booker and Kamala Harris in Detroit endorsing him and doing events to try to turn out the black vote. So the expectation, I think, is he wins by more than double digits in Michigan, and if so, that's going to be a pretty tough blow to the Sanders campaign. It's going to raise more questions about what his real path is going forward.
Matt, I haven't seen any updated math. Can Biden win this without a brokered convention? I mean, if he keeps on going on at the pace that he's going, or is it still a possibility of a brokered convention?
Good question. After Super Tuesday, my understanding of the numbers is that Biden part of this is that it's a little bit in flux because it depends on how the ultimate delegate breakdown occurs in California, where they're still not done, and they won't be done for maybe a couple more weeks. But based on what we're kind of expecting, it sounds like Biden's going to need about something like 54% of the remaining delegates. He's going to get a pretty good share of them tonight. Keep in mind, as I say, I think every time I'm on with you every week, they allocate delegates proportionally on the Democratic side. So it's not winner take all. So you can never get 100%. But if he's getting 2/3 on these big nights, that's going to go a long way. But yeah, it's a reminder that if Sanders fights this to the end, and if he wins some states, he may be able to prevent Biden from getting the nomination on the first ballot. I think the challenge is that on the second ballot, that's when superdelegates come in, 500 superdelegates who are sort of party figures and party insiders, and obviously they're going to be 95% for Biden over someone like Sanders. So I think at this point the chances that Biden is not the nominee ultimately are pretty low. The question is the timing. Can he lock this thing up? Can he get Bernie? Can he either clinch it himself or get Bernie to drop out? I think those are huge questions. And but right now, Biden definitely has the wind at his back.
Yeah. Visiting with Matt Mackowiak this morning. Matt, let's say, let's say Joe Biden gets the nomination. He's going to be the guy that Trump faces. Obviously, a lot of Republicans were hoping that it was going to be Bernie, that it would be a not easy race necessarily, but maybe a lot easier to run against Bernie Sanders and Democrat socialism. Will the president have what does it look like a race between Biden and Trump? Is it as easy of a path for the president?
No, I think it's fair to say Biden is a tougher general election nominee than Sanders, perhaps considerably tougher. I think Biden is going to make it certainly more possible for Democrats to win the suburbs, and the suburbs are going to decide not just the presidential election, but the battle for the majority in the U.S. House as well. Sanders, I think, was going to be really radioactive in the suburbs, particularly with some of his more extreme ideas like Medicare for All and Green New Deal and all these things that really would have been economically disruptive. But that said, look, I think we got to be also really honest about Biden. He has not been all that impressive until about weeks, and that was really just about his South Carolina firewall holding. His sort of steadiness in the debates while sort of Warren and Bloomberg were going after each other, and then his shocking effort on Super Tuesday, where he was able to get none of the other candidates to drop out and endorse him, and he rolled up 10 states. There are still huge questions about his stamina and his capacity to be the nominee and to handle the stress and the pressure going forward. He doesn't really have a vision, not an inspiring vision. That's going to be a problem for young voters. It's going to be a problem for progressives. He's going to have to figure out how to bring them into the fold. To me, I think the dynamic for the 2020 election, if Biden's the nominee, it's going to be Trump versus the sort of Obama approach. But you don't have Obama selling it. You're going to have Biden selling it. And
right.
I do think that's a really important distinction. So Trump may be able to run against sort of the Obama economy and talk about the direction the country's been going in the first 4 years. And I think that's a competition and a contest that Trump can win, but it is certainly going to be competitive. How
important will Biden's vice presidential pick be, in your opinion?
I think it'll matter, more than normal. Generally people don't vote for vice president. The history is that vice presidents rarely even bring a state with them. But I think in this case it will matter. And I say that for two reasons. One, if there are questions about Biden's age and his stamina and his capacity, that'll make the VP choice all the more important, which is why I'll be really surprised if he picks someone who is clearly not qualified to be president of the United States on a moment's notice, someone like Stacey Abrams, for example. That said, I think the other thing is he is going to need to unify the party. I mean, progressives are not on board with Biden, and he's going to obviously want to demonstrate some diversity on the ticket with almost surely a female P candidate, perhaps a minority female. There are some other choices out there like Kamala Harris, who I think very well may be the nominee on the VP side, maybe Amy Klobuchar, we'll see. So, yeah, I think it'll matter, but I don't know that it'll be, the sort of the difference maker in whether he's successful or not.
Is it fair to say when you look at when we go back to 2016, Hillary's big push and the excitement, if there was any around Hillary, was among women, and being the first woman president.
Yeah.
For Biden, it's just kind of another guy, and he's the not Trump. It almost seems like where Republicans were with Mitt Romney. Well, he's not Obama. Well, is it fair to say that Democrats and Democrat voters may look at Biden and go, well, he's not Trump?
Yeah, no, I think that's it. I think they want to make the election about Trump, and they think sort of a low-key nominee like Biden, who's sort of steady and not all that exciting, but maybe also not all that risky, their nominee. And so I do think that's probably a contrast that they feel good about. Certainly electability is a big part of why Biden ultimately was the nominee. He always had that as an advantage. Didn't seem to matter in the fall and the early spring, but once the contest started coming around the corner, electability became more and more important, particularly as it appeared that Sanders might actually have a chance to be the nominee. I think the Democratic Party sort of stepped back from the abyss and decided they didn't want to do that. So, I look at Biden and I keep thinking he reminds me a little bit of Dole in '96.
Yeah.
Sort of his turn, sort of uninspiring. Certainly a good and decent person, but really probably doesn't have the kind of greatness in him to become president of the United States. But look, again, I mean, Trump's numbers are in a range where this election could go either direction. There's absolutely no question about that, and we have huge variables going forward, like the coronavirus, that's affecting the economy, and it's going to affect how voters look at the administration.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you about that. The headline from CNN this morning: White House will pitch economic stimulus proposals to GOP senators. How do you think the White House is handling this, and how do you think they're handling it economically?
Yeah, I mean, I think a few weeks ago it was a little unsteady in the early days. I think they were trying to figure out how to get their arms around it, how to put the right team together, how seriously to take this threat. I mean, it wasn't as clear a month ago how serious this was going to be until very recently. And even now, I think the sort of panic that you're seeing is beyond where the United States is. Now, we'll see at the end of this week, once more testing is done, what the number of cases is, and if we're having, community spread and what that will mean going forward. But I think they've done okay. I think they've done fine. I don't think there's any problem putting Vice President Pence in charge.
I think he's done a great job.
Well, he's going to get his calls returned. He's calling on behalf of the president. He's the number 2 official in government. He's gone through these kind of situations having been a governor. They dealt with an HIV outbreak in Indiana when he was governor of Indiana. So I don't have any concern about that. I think on the economic side, they are trying to find ways to steady the economy. You're going to see this payroll tax cut get proposed. You may see some no interest loans. You might see some assistance to, hourly workers or small businesses, those kinds of things. They are looking for ways to do that. It's going to be interesting to see whether there's a bipartisan path to do that. I think today they're meeting with Senate Republicans, which is great in the Senate, but that doesn't explain how you get through the House. So, ideally, this would be a deal that Pelosi and McConnell would cut together that the White House would bless. And so my hope is over the next couple of weeks, that's where, this will be headed. But I think that Congress has a 2-week recess from early April to mid-April. So they got to get moving if they're going to do something.
Yeah, absolutely. Matt, tell folks how they can sign up for your morning newsletter, and also tell them about your podcast.
Yeah, and speaking about coronavirus, I just interviewed former HHS Secretary Mike Leavitt, who served in the Bush administration, all about the coronavirus. So if your listeners want to learn more about that, sort of how it started, why it's spreading, how seriously Americans should take it, they can check out the Mac on Politics podcast in the iTunes Store, on Google Play, on Stitcher, and on Spotify. The newsletter, which I know you subscribe to, is called Must Read Texas. We take all the top news from around the state, put it in one clean, easy-to-read email, and deliver it to inboxes by 9 a.m. every weekday morning. 3,000 Texans receive it. You can sign up for a free one-week trial, or go ahead and subscribe for $3.50 at mustreadtexas.com.
All right. Very good, Matt. Thank you as always, and we'll talk to you later.
Take care.
That's Matt Mackowiak here on the Chad Hasty Show. News Talk, KFYO.